going? Yep, we going. Hi, everybody. It's me, Matt Bingel again. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Bingel Watch, talking about 70s, 80s, and 90s television. Tonight is a very special episode, because tonight we will be talking about Double Dare. Not the 76 version with Alex Trebek. No, not that version. The Nickelodeon version of the 80s and 90s, and the recently revived one as well, which we'll be talking about tonight. Reason why I said we instead of I is because I have some Discord buddies with me. I'll introduce them in just a little bit here. Let me give you a little bit of a background here as to Double Dare. As many of you know, Double Dare recently came back on Nickelodeon. I believe it was confirmed that it's coming back for a second season, which is fantastic. Yep. It is a fantastic revival. Mark Summers, the original host, is doing fantastic as being an announcer. I know some people are quite disappointed because he wants to be the host, but that's okay. At least you still see Mark, okay? Yes, you still see Mark on the show. He's just announcing, not necessarily hosting the show. Yep, let's give you a backstory here. The Nickelodeon Double Dare began all the way back in 1986. Yeah, that long ago. That's over 30 years ago. Let's see here. 1986, what happened in 86? The Challenger disaster. Mets won the World Series that year. Oh yeah, and of course, Nickelodeon debuted Double Dare. It was Nickelodeon's first game show and debuted on October the 6th, 1986. It was also known as three other names: Super Sloppy Double Dare in 1987 and 1989, Family Double Dare in 1988, and again from 1990 to 1993, and Double Dare 2000, which only aired for about 10 months. There was a syndicated series, which premiered in 1988. I should also point out now, if you hear thunder, as of the time this is being recorded, we're having a bad thunderstorm right now, so hopefully we do not lose power this evening. If we do, I'm sorry. The original series of Double Dare ended in February of 1993. The show was revived in 2000 as Double Dare 2000, hosted by Jason Harris, and of course, Liza Koshy is hosting the current Double Dare revival, which premiered back on June 25th. We believe it has been confirmed that Double Dare will be coming back for a second season. The first cycle of the first season concludes actually tonight, So, yeah, very exciting. I gotta say, Liza Koshy does a fantastic job as hosting. She got down to the nitty-gritty here. Mark Summers gave her nitty-gritty of the show. And she's doing a fantastic job on that. Let's see. They also did a live tour. I believe this was 1993 as well. There have been also a lot of versions on YouTube. For example, Double Nintendo. If you look that up on YouTube, I believe it's I forget exactly who it's hosted by. But a couple of my friends, Aubrey Scott and Leaf Apollo, were actually on Double Nintendo. You can look it up on YouTube. They were at PAX East a couple months ago, and they were selected as contestants. Speaking of contestants, speaking of Leaf, he was actually a contestant on Wheel of Fortune a couple years ago, so very exciting. I have friends who appeared on game shows. But now I'd like for you to meet my friends. They are here via Discord, and we are going to be talking about Double Dare for the next hour. So sit back, relax, and let's go. Hello there, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? We got a couple of nice people here this evening who are going to help me talk about Double Dare. Some big fans, some not. I mean, that's the honest truth. These are a couple of people who have been featured on my channel before, but not specifically on the podcast. This is my first time doing the podcast here, via Discord, actually. And I'm very excited that I'm doing this for the first time. I feel like it's going to thunder any second now. One of our guests will be here in a little bit. Let's introduce the three we have so far. We have Hunter Dillon with us.
Hello.
We also have Mr. Justin Ray.
What's going on, everybody?
And we got Mr. Cory Lawrence.
Yeah. Hello.
Yep, he's the birthday boy I mentioned on last week's show. And someone's knocking at the door. Great start, people. Great somehow. Who's here?
Well, this podcast got off to a
There we go.
fantastic start.
So just as a heads up, the rain is pretty bad out here, so if I do this power, you know why. Right.
Okay.
Just gave a little backstory to Double Dare. Double Dare, of course, began Nickelodeon in 1986 and just recently got revived, which has been airing now for the past 4 or 5 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
And Cory, I know you mentioned something not too long ago about a second season, about possibly a second season of the new Double Dare, because they're just about to finish up their first cycle of 24 episodes.
40.
40.
40 episodes.
40. Why did I say 24 on my source? Oh well.
From personal sources that are in the game show community, one that's a very reputable source has confirmed, but is waiting for the fall to happen. But yes, the ratings are so glowing that they are going to be getting a second season.
Honestly, I am not surprised by that. Double Dare was an extremely popular program in the 80s and early 90s, so it really is.
Yeah.
It really is no surprise that Double Dare's getting a second
From
season.
another reputable source, that source being Viacom, the one who owns Nickelodeon, Double Dare is the most watched children's program of this year.
Yes,
Which comes as
And that was
absolutely no
in its
surprise.
premiere week.
that was in its premiere week.
I think it garnered over 1.5 to 2+ million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how much that is on the Nielsen rating though, but not like that matters anyway. Yeah.
Also, reason why Double Dare was brought back, there's a little backstory into that as soon as we can get into that.
Do tell.
Get into it here. How Double Dare got revived. Mark Summers actually came to Nickelodeon to get it revived because of all the stuff that he's been doing off the air for so many years now, and also a hype for it.
Right.
And recently, there has been a presidential change at Nickelodeon where they had a new president. The new president has an affinity love for the golden age at Nickelodeon, and that includes all the game shows. That's how Double Dare got its okay. And this was something that was never heard of before. A network on a show revival banking heavily over 40 episodes to try for the revival, and it seems like it's worked.
It's paid off big time. I mean, look at the ratings at its premiere week.
They might have more Nick game shows come down the pipeline here being revived.
Yeah, when can we say the golden age of Nickelodeon was? I'm probably thinking
Sometime around maybe 86, around maybe 90,
I was thinking
95.
I was thinking a little later than that, honestly. I was thinking more 88 to 97, something like that.
I would say 89, somewhere around that area, because around that time, I think 88, 89, Nickelodeon hadn't opened yet until later in 1989.
And really,
So
opened up its doors for more shows, Because I think Nick Jr. started a year earlier than what you said. I think it started back in '88, so it's been around for a while.
But there's a lot more Nickelodeon shows from the Golden Age that have been announced as being revived, including Rugrats and Rocko's Modern Life.
I did not know about. Interesting. Let's.
Seems Nickelodeon is really going back.
They are, and honestly, I don't blame them. You don't see these types of TV shows anymore. You really don't.
You know,
Especially today with the programming that you do get, it's just like
Yeah.
watered down.
What?
it's just a bunch of what you get on television nowadays is just a bunch of Kim Kardashian wannabes who want to
Yeah.
show their rear end on network television to get a quick buck.
Right.
But with Double Dare, though, you don't get that because all it is just pure trivia and
slime.
just trying to get
a
the
lot
wrong
of fun.
obstacles.
And slime.
Oh.
So,
Yep.
right. Let's backtrack to the very beginning days of Double Dare. As I mentioned earlier, Double Dare was Nickelodeon's very first game show. Of course, Finders Keepers didn't come along till about a year later, in '87, I believe, or was it '88, something like that.
Right. Somewhere in that, I
But
think.
but
And
87,
if I remember
88.
correctly, when Double Dare started in '6, they taped in Philadelphia.
they did. They
Yeah.
had a
They
Philadelphia
did.
run. They had a
But
Philadelphia
the
run.
story behind it, though, it was skepticism at its finest, though, about the show even working.
Mm-hmm.
They had an idea because of Bob Mittenthal and a few others.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember them all. I think it was Bob Mittenthal, Dilla Duke, who else? I can't remember all their names, but I know two of them at least off the top of my head. Bob Mittenthal and Dilla. So they had an idea, but they hadn't really had a format worked out for it yet, or even a name. So that's when they all in an office working out the idea, and they were trying to find names that would work until one of them came up with Double Dare because that was something kids always said on the playground.
True. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
But they tried to make it kid friendly as best they could, going along the lines of could be done, with the name and title.
Right.
And with Byron Taylor's help, it's the way the show molded itself into now.
Yeah, I watched the run through on the VHS that they came out with, which was I think behind the scenes.
Something like that.
From what I
probably
heard,
89.
The original run through for Double Dare was a question was worth $10. If you dared, it was worth $20, and then a Double Dare was not worth $40, but rather $30.
Ew.
And then you could either take the question, the challenge, depending on if you wanted to try and answer it or not.
Yep. Of course.
But go ahead here.
Okay. Of course, that changed probably after the Philadelphia run. The Philadelphia run ran from 1986 to 88.
It changed after the run through. That was just the run through.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a test run through for a Nickelodeon executive.
But
Yes.
but of
Where
course,
they had a very basic set made of cardboard and other stuff.
Right. Yep. Yep, but of course they changed to this quote, and I quote, "I'm going to ask you a question. If you don't know the answer or think the other team doesn't have a clue, you can dare them to answer it for double the dollars. But be careful, they can always double dare you back for 4 times the amount, and then you either have to answer the question or take the physical challenge." End quote.
You read those rules very well.
Of course I did. I mean, after all, I've been watching the new Double Dare for a couple weeks now, so I think I know it by now.
Mark Summers would have been very proud of you just now.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. Why do you think I would be a game show host?
Right?
Right. Back on topic here. They did. Trying to remember. They moved to Nickelodeon Studios when that opened in 1990, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because that didn't open until 1990. Now, of course, lasting until the end of the original series in 1993, of course. And then coming back to Nickelodeon Studios in 2000, and then taping out in Burbank now.
Well, they're taping at they're taping in Studio City. It's that or Burbank. I don't know. It's been a bit of a debate where they're taping now.
Yeah,
it's at a subset. It's the new revival for what you're talking about in question. It's at a subset version of CBS Studios down over in Burbank.
Yes.
It's the Fairmount CBS Studios or somewhere along those lines.
Something like that.
I'd have to look at Mark's Instagram again, and I don't have that pulled up right now.
Neither do I. Yep. I have no idea where Family Double Dare was filmed before Universal Studios.
I believe that was
the WHYY Studios in Philadelphia.
Right, I'm talking after the Philadelphia run, because I think they did a couple episodes elsewhere.
Yes, New York.
New York, that's where it was. Thank you. They also did a couple of pilots in 1987 as well. One of them in particular being Celebrity Double Dare.
Yeah, they were going to do an adult version of the show with then Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner at first.
Yes, and of course the grand prize was a fabulous 1988 Ford Mustang convertible. That was never picked up.
It was picked up on the Celebrity pilot.
Not on the Celebrity pilot anyway. But it was there. But there was a bunch of other stuff. Let's see. Yep. But of course, I'm trying to think here. We don't write scripts for the show. Let me ask you something. Why do you think Double Dare's been so popular with people? Not just the original,
mostly
but now.
Because... Let me see here. If I had to put it down to it, it's because of the testament it withstood through time here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Through time. But, here, go ahead and answer this for me here. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I think it's because people love trivia. Mm-hmm. And people especially love, seeing people get all. I think it's a testament to going back to Beat the Clock back in the 50s.
Yes.
People love seeing other people
made that connection.
Seeing people get messy, seeing people take ridiculous stunts for cash. People like that. People like trivia, and especially kids back in the 1980s and the early 90s.
Yeah, because kids can get really messy, and they do.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And if you guys take a look at it, at the time, Double Dare, you could probably easily compare that with that of Even Truth or Consequences, which Bob Barker hosted up until he was given the reins of Price is Right.
This was probably done in 72-ish.
He started around 56, and then he ran up until
72.
Yeah, that's right. He went into Price like in September of 72. I can't remember when that year he left Truth or Consequences.
So it was probably filmed in August. So I want to say probably June, July 72-ish. Anyways, I think the show's very popular. Not just the new Double Dare that's on now, but all versions of Double Dare, because, like you said, people love trivia. Like all of us here, we love trivia. Why do you think we play games all the time? we love trivia, and we love seeing other people get slimed. Speaking of slime, let me go ahead and backtrack a little more. Back to, I want to say, 1981, I guess, to when the whole slime thing actually started on a show called You Can't Do That on Television.
Which was originally a series that was
produced
filmed and aired in a local Canada.
Yes, in Canada. That began airing in 1979. Transferred to Nickelodeon in 1981. And I guess you could say that's when the whole slime thing started.
Yeah, that's where the whole slime thing originated.
Yeah. That's where it all started. You can't do that on television. And I really think Double Dare really gave the slime a lot more popularity. I mean, it was.
And there is a story behind how the slime came to be. With You Can't Do That on Television, because Mark explained it.
Do tell.
It was originally, from what it is now today, it was vanilla pudding, applesauce, green food coloring, and a little bit of oatmeal.
I figured it was food. I figured food coloring would be in there. Figured as such.
And Jeff Sutphin actually shared another in an interview with a Nickelodeon podcaster by the name of Bial Smith about the slime, is that in order to achieve that look that people, that expression on people's faces that they get from being slime, Jeff explained that they actually refrigerate the slime before they use it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So yes, to get the needed effect of them, saying that it's cold and stuff is true because they have refrigerated it.
Yes. That's why slime is slime. But although it was popular on You Can't Do That on Television, it really, really got popular thanks to Double Dare. It really did. That's why you saw the.
I need help.
What?
Please, real quick.
What? Hang on. Let me see. Alright, let's see. He's sending. He's sending, I believe.
Alright, go up. No, go up. I mean, yeah, there you go.
Continue. One, oh, God.
Adios. Love you, bro.
Hey.
Joe, love you.
Alright, no problem. Love you. Be safe.
Yeah.
That's not bad. There we go.
I've got the name of the alternate filming area. It's CBS Studio Center at 4024 Radford Drive, Radford Avenue in Studio City, California.
Okay. And I think Marty is. I think Marty went to do. There you are, Marty.
Oh my god, it's so crazy how you knew all this.
I know, it's insane. Let's see.
The information I found out, Marty, for the new revival location.
Yes.
CBS Studio Center at, let me pull up the thing on my browser here, 4024 Radford Avenue in Studio City, California.
Nice. So we were getting close. Not bad. Yep. Now, Family Double Dare was very interesting. They've switched it up a little bit in the revival. They've had triplets on the show. They've had families. They've had pairs of two on the show over the last 4 weeks. The new revival's been on. So it's been very, very interesting to see how they switch it up and bring back, the old styles of Double Dare. Not the 2001, because, it's pretty much a carbon copy of the original, except the year 2000. But yeah. Yep. let's see. Which one should we talk about next? Family Double Dare. The only one to have a tournament of champions. They had a tournament of champions in 1993. This was like at the very, very, very tail end of the series. The original series, anyway. And I mean the tail end.
Tail end of the run. As a matter of fact,
it was the last show of the original series. In fact, of the original series anyway. Never came back for another 7 years until the year 2000. And then of course the revival.
Now the way it worked, the way the tournament worked was they had been keeping track all season. The top two highest winning teams in cash winning,
right,
and the two fastest obstacle course winners came back to play one final game. The two highest scoring cash winners played one round of Double Dare. Then the two fastest obstacle course teams played a round of Double Dare. And the two winners faced off in one full game of Double Dare to determine the grand champion.
Yep.
And it was an hour-long special.
We kind of skipped over a little bit Double Dare at the beginning.
Right.
From the beginning in the 80s of when they started. So I think we should probably go back.
Yeah, let's go back there.
Yeah, I think we should.
Let's go back there.
Yeah, just Double Dare at its core starting. Like I was saying, it didn't have a whole lot to start with except a name and an idea. They had to work out the format, and then by then, I think it was who was it that did the pilot for it?
For
Double Dare.
For Double Dare, the '87 pilot, right? Yeah. The host was Bruce Jenner.
Oh, no, the pilot for the original series.
Oh, the
original series.
The original?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, here it is. I'll pull that up here. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Well, that gets done here. Hold on, guys.
Right. It kind of took off after...
Yeah, here are the people that created it.
Go for it.
It was Jeffrey Darby, Michael Klinghoffer, D. LeDuc, and Bob Mittenthal. Family Double Dare was conceptualized by Debbie Beast. But the pilot host for Double Dare was Jeffrey Darby.
Jeffrey Darby, one of the creators.
Yes, one of the creators. Now, like Hunter alluded to, it was 10, 20, and 40. And they didn't have a lot in terms of 10, 20, and 30. But when the show came to series, it was 10, 20, 40, 20, 40, 80. Now, it was different in the pilot than it was in the actual series because they had trivia for a toss-up at first. And if you got it right, then you would get control. And then the core of the game was still the same for the pilot. They had the physical challenges and everything else. The pilot, they had not all the same obstacles that you would expect the show would have. Although they did have a tank, it's just it wasn't the same thing as the actual show series.
Right.
It was filled, I think, with styrofoam, peanuts, and balloons, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
From what I remember in the VHS.
Yes. There is a VHS that highlights information on the pilot itself, and it was just basically a test run of the trivia portion more so over than anything in the slopsicle course at first. They had the tank, the original tank for the test pilot, not what we saw in the series, and also the slime canal, which was filled with corn syrup. Let me see here, because I know this is not my ballpark here. I'm just trying to recollect this from history.
Right.
once it was shown to executives and stuff, they were still skeptic about it, but they decided to take a chance and go for it. So they greenlit the show in hopes that this would work out, or they're thinking, it'd probably just fizzle out, right after just one season.
Nope.
Well, little did they know they were wrong.
They were definitely wrong.
Yep.
Definitely wrong.
But once the pilot was done, they went to shoot the first episode. But at the time, they didn't have a host or the rest of the cast all assembled. How Mark got the job, and I found this out. It was from a friend who originally was cast to test shoot for the show, but he had other commitments to do, so he told Mark to go in his stead. So Mark was like, but I'll do it, And little did he know, he ended up getting the job from it.
Yep.
Yep.
He did. And that's
But it started from humble beginnings, because originally he was a CBS page and also worked on The Joker's Wild for a small amount of time, aside from being a magician. And also stand-up comedian too, so he had a lot of accreditation to his name.
yeah, I'll say.
So he got the job. Now, granted, this was before he knew about OCD or what it was then. So
Right.
Yeah.
So come the first show, you shoot it and stuff, everything goes good. But by the time it comes to do the obstacle course, that's when things went really, really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know where you're alluding to. The very first obstacle, Nightmare.
Probably.
It was literally a nightmare.
Yeah.
For the kids, for Mark, and for the staff.
Because it was their first time. They weren't expecting anything to, go wrong. But as the saying goes in television, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Will
Murphy's
go
Law.
wrong. Expect the unexpected.
Yes, and Murphy's Law did play a lot in that.
Yep.
In that taping day, because on the very first obstacle, which was called Nightmare, which was this giant pillowcase stuffed to the brim with feathers, and inside it was supposed to be a flag. And when they were getting ready to do their first Messiest Minute in television taping, they started the course off. The kid was searching through the pillow feverishly, trying to find the flag, but little did they know they didn't even hide a flag in there, so they could have searched all day and still not even found it. Oops.
Womp womp.
So by the time the clock
So they
ran
had
out,
to do another.
so they had to do a retake, but they were confused when the clock went off, and Mark was like, okay, we got to reshoot.
Yep. That was the first.
So by the
taping
time
here.
that was the first taping,
According
part two of the retake, they thought they hit a flag in there.
Nope.
Second time around, they didn't again. Oops.
Womp womp.
Wow.
So they had to do another retake.
Another retake.
Another retake. This time they had a flag in there, but the thing of them, they had it too buried deep down in the pillow. So by the time the kid spilled all the feathers out, the kid couldn't find the thing again.
Ugh.
So they had to do another retake. So by the time the fourth one came around, they hid the flag at the top of the thing, so it made things go easy. But because it was their first time and the cameramen really didn't understand what they were supposed to be doing, one of them inadvertently tripped and got in the way of the kids, obstructing their way.
Okay.
Oops.
Oh, jeez.
So that was time for take 5.
Jeez.
So by that time, they finally got it settled, and by the 5th take, they had everything all filmed.
Yeah, that first
And
taping.
the very first obstacle, Nightmare, was never used again.
Nope. That first taping date, according to my research, was the date of September the 18th, 1986. According to what I'm looking at. It was not the first aired episode, but it was the first taped.
So they were on the air not too
About
long right after
3
taping
weeks.
that.
So about 3 weeks after, I guess.
3 weeks after they were right on the air with Double Dare, and it was well met.
Very well met. Yep, and that's how it led to other game shows in the 80s and 90s. For example,
Coming through, but Nickelodeon
Finders Keepers.
with Double Dare was what helped give birth to the slime, being well known.
Well known.
Even though you can't do that on television, gave birth to it. Double Dare
Officially
helped
Double Dare.
surge its popularity.
Yep, there you go.
Officially helped surge its popularity.
Yep.
But there's a lot more that happened throughout the beginnings of Double Dare that a lot of people don't know about.
Nope.
I'll let Marty talk here for a few minutes because I'm going to pull some up so we have a little bit something better to run from.
Okay. Yeah, it was just a complete nightmare, that first taping. I don't know if you could call that first show jitters or just straight up nightmare.
I would say probably more jitters in my opinion.
Yeah. Probably. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of what I was talking about here. Now, of course, they did 2 seasons of Super Sloppy Double Dare. One, as I mentioned before, in 1987, and another one in 89. That one lasted until, I believe, 1991. 90-91, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, when they switched over to the Family Double Dare.
That originally aired on Fox, believe it or not, when it started airing in 1988.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
Yeah, at that time, Fox was barely a year old.
Yes.
But it was starting to become popular with their hit sitcom Married with Children at that time.
Not to mention the Tracy Ullman Show, which gave us, in turn, The Simpsons. Which is still on the air today.
Still.
With humble beginnings for Double Dare, became even bigger surprises as the show grew older and got more seasons. At first, as you noticed, in the first season of Double Dare, Mark really didn't get himself dirty and stuff.
Nope.
But by the time the second season came around, they approached Mark and said, you have to get dirty. And by that time, that's when they really started to hit their stride with either getting Mark messy, Harvey, Robin, the whole crew messy, and that's when they just, I think, finally let loose.
Yep, this was probably late 86, let's see, early 87 probably. So that's when the whole thing just took off by the second season, and that's how it came to be. You know?
And they did do a few test shows of Super Sloppy Double Dare at the time, but really they didn't do a full-on Super Sloppy until I think the third or fourth season.
Probably 89.
The third or fourth. Yeah, because we got to count the New York episodes, and I think that was different.
Right. They originally had their original run in 87, but
so Super Sloppy originally started in 87, but a full-on name change for that didn't occur until they were fit into the WHYY run.
Probably 88, 89. Filmed late 88.
And then by that time they moved to Nickelodeon Studios after they opened their doors.
In the summer of 1990.
But around that time, though, they were having fun on set, doing jokes. Even people or kids these days would not even understand what the humor that they used.
For example?
For comedic relief, where they did one that was based off of Hawaii Five-0, where they did Reebok's No Socks.
Reebok's No Socks.
Or they did other funny little things, they filmed an entire episode saying that it was in 3D, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that episode before.
Or other stuff.
That was interesting. I think I've seen that episode before.
But each of the staffers, though, really has their own backstory and how they came into be a part of the show and did their own thing with it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to start off with Dave here, Dave Shikiar. he was really one of the funniest of the group and the biggest too. I mean, he was like literally like this tank.
Mm-hmm.
Both Robin and Dave really came far with the show at the humble beginnings, but they both really hit their stride once they got over the initial jitters and stuff.
Yeah.
Dave would really do anything for a laugh. Robin, I think she really hammed it up the most with Mark because she was the sweetest person.
And she was very, very silent too. But then there was a time when Robin was allowed to speak on the show, I believe, to promote a book, quote unquote.
Maybe. I think Robin and Dave also.
Hey, by Robin, yes.
Hey. They also.
And Mark really turned that into a long-running bit throughout that episode when that happened. And I think Robin got Mark in that very same episode payback.
Oh no.
She really didn't slime him or anything. That stuff didn't really come around until like Family Double Dare. But she got Mark through no fault of her own. She turned the tables on him during one physical challenge where she was supposed to explain something, and she went a little bit longer out of a shtick than what everyone was expecting, and turned it right around on Mark. And yeah, that was funny. She was like this big can of beans that were in her hand, and she turned it into like this minute-long explanation, and then finished it up with "Hey." And
hey.
Yeah, needless to say, she got Mark.
Speaking of Robin and Dave, I believe during the second season, Robin and Dave also announced an episode of Super Sloppy Double Dare in '89.
Yes, that will come down the.
That'll come down the line here. We may do a part 2 of this next week. So. Because we'll probably go into more detail about this next week. So, anyways, I think
on Double Dare, one of the highlights, though, they used to take a lot more during the season, and they filled it with a lot of weird stuff, needless to say.
For example?
And one of the worst ones that they did at first, they filled it with over 4,000 to 10,000 gallons worth of baked beans.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Yeah, needless to say, that was probably not the best idea.
Corey, that's right up your alley, though. Anyways, because hot studio lights and everything else that was mixed with that. Yeah.
Because they had to use it for a week's worth of tapings.
Okay.
By the time the show was coming up to the end of the week's worth of tapings using that, it was starting to fester bad.
Ugh.
And Mark put it in very eloquent terms, but I'll just tell the truth here. They literally had to get a shit remover, ergo a porta-duty remover truck. They had to hire a truck and vacuum it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So literally the truck that normally goes to maintain the porta potties and stuff had to stop by the studio there and vacuum out all of those baked beans that were festering in the thing from the hot lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And needless to say, from a lot of the other stuff too, because they didn't drain it off at the time, was starting to fester. And by the time they came back to do the next season and stuff, when people were trying to clear it out and stuff, people were starting to break out in like festering hives and other junk from it.
Ugh.
Not good.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That was just one of the many plays that the show had at the time as a caveat to some of the stuff they did. But really, it was just minor potatoes to what the show was actually all about, though.
Right. Right.
Because they were more about just bringing good, clean-hearted fun for kids that really they never got to do, except probably only on their birthday or dream of.
Right.
Because what this show did was give something for kids that was really a clouded area for just adults with game shows and stuff.
Right.
So Nickelodeon really was the forefront launcher for this because they brought something to the table that brought together multiple spawn multiple game shows afterwards.
Right. Yep. For example, Finders
They really did
Keepers
set
which
the,
came
they
a year
set the
after.
bar high.
Yeah.
And it paid off, just like they set the bar very high for this revival of Double Dare, which we'll probably talk about either next week or the week after. Because I feel like this is going to be like a mini-series of Double Dare talk at this point.
Definitely.
Definitely, because there are a lot of versions of Double Dare. And I mean a
Yeah,
lot.
including international as well.
We may talk about the international one, so I'm not 100% sure, because I haven't watched any of the
But,
international ones.
A lot of the obstacles and stuff were courtesy of creator, I think it is Byron Taylor here. Let me find out here.
Something like that.
Set designer Byron Taylor here.
Yeah.
Yes, Byron Taylor was the art director for Double Dare. He was the mastermind behind a lot of the obstacles through the Philly and Super Sloppy run. But as the story is told, once that show launched, they had to literally change things around because, you know, there's always going to be something that's going to cloud the market, and then they have to try to counteract that and come back even bigger than better than ever. And that's when Super Sloppy was born.
Right.
Probably, I think, around the late 80s to early 89, 90s.
Probably. That sounds about right.
But once they hit their stride with Super Sloppy, it's where it really came through. But also, they had a lot of scrutiny, though, because of, you know, sometimes teachers in school questioning the moral ethics of what Double Dare is trying to teach kids and stuff,
Yuck.
or other stuff. That's why they were regulated by a close network group to make sure that, you know, what they were doing was on the up and up. Nothing was ever wrong with the show or everything else.
Right.
But one of the things people don't know is a lot of the stuff that they used on the show was actual food, but it was post-dated. That's where we also need to cover in depth on.
We will cover that in depth probably next week. So.
But I can cover some of the story here.
Right, go into
a lot of it was just either water or colored stuff, you know, to make different stuff. So if they wanted to use milk, so they just use a color dye and water. Because them having to use actual milk would be wasteful in and of itself. The only actual stuff that they really used was, chocolate sauce, Hershey chocolate sauce. They made their own whipped cream and just other post-dated foods. So then that way they really weren't wasting it in a way.
Right.
But also, they were not causing problems, you know, where people were wondering, you know, some starving family could be using that food and junk or other crap.
Right.
So a lot of this stuff they handmade in their kitchens. So aside from the slime and everything else, the only things they did were just the foods that they used for the obstacles and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was pretty impressive to see how they did this because if you compare between Double Dare, Super Sloppy, and Family,
right,
they really outdid themselves every time they came back bigger and better.
And relating to that question, do you think they outdid themselves with the current version of Double Dare?
I think they have, in terms of it. Even though the slime is different than what it used to be, it's still the same thing.
Right.
This was one of the major things Double Dare was criticized with. How can you waste so much food? You know, there are starving people all over the world and that stuff. Yeah, and they really didn't waste it. It was post-dated food because
right.
They would incur a lot more expenses having to do this because they had to operate under a tight budget every time. That's why a lot of the time you didn't see wins.
Right.
Right.
Was because they were on a budget and sometimes they would have to control the budget.
Right.
it wasn't them rigging it in a way, what you people are probably thinking, but yes, there was budget control there, because if you gave out too many grand prizes at once, you'd be blowing the budget.
Right.
So the post-dated food thing, it was really a cost-effective way, but them using what they could, to make the milk, it was just colored water. They used other handmade stuff in studio for like their whipped creams, their puddings, and all the other stuff. So it wasn't really. It was a messy thing, yes, but they never really wasted it, because it would just be immediately disposed of.
Right.
Right.
Immediately after, anyway.
But they really don't use a lot of messy stunts on this version of Double Dare, I don't think, except probably for the obstacle course. Otherwise, it's just light-hearted stuff. I'm thinking probably once they hit their next season, that's probably when they'll probably amp it up some.
Yeah, that's what I'm probably thinking myself. Here, absolutely. I really think they're gonna. I mean, after all, this year is the 30th anniversary of probably the after Philadelphia run, because the Philadelphia run, gotta remember, ended in '88. So.
Oh yeah, that should be coming up soon.
That should be. I mean, Super Sloppy isn't until bringing its 30th anniversary until this coming January 22nd to be in fact. That was their first episode back in 1989. But still, I mean, it's amazing how far Double Dare's come. And we'll talk about, mostly the history of Double Dare in the next couple weeks on the show. Because, like I said before, this will become a little mini-series on the history of Double Dare and, little behind-the-scenes secrets and stuff like that.
Yeah. And also, some of the pitfalls and other stuff that happened that you don't know about.
That you don't know
yes.
about. Exactly.
One of the topics that we'll be discussing over the next few weeks is about a kid who lied to get on the show, and what led to a pretty strict rule among the Double Dare staff. We'll talk about that
We'll probably talk about that in the coming weeks. How long have we gone for? Jesus, we've probably gone about 45 minutes now, not including
But
this.
there will be a lot covered with Double Dare.
Yes,
including
lot.
Super Sloppy Family, DD2K, and
2K.
also the current revival.
Right. Hold on, I'll be right back, everybody.
Right. This will all be probably over the next 4 weeks or so. This is just tonight. You heard the original Double Dare. Next couple weeks, again, like Cory said, we'll be talking about the later versions of Double Dare, Super Sloppy Family. Maybe the pilots of '87. No, we talked about that tonight. Never mind. Family, Super Sloppy, 2K, and 2K18. So we'll all be talking about that over the next 4 weeks on the show. Meanwhile, in terms of the original Double Dare, anything else you want to talk about here? At least with the
original, like I said, Mark really didn't get all messed up and stuff until like the second season when they came back and on further. By that time, they had really just started to let the jokes fly and the humor to go. They would launch into weird antics a lot of the time for humor and other stuff just to get laughs. And it was always a funny thing because it was sort of dry humor in a way.
Yeah.
If I had to put it down to it, but not anything over the top that would get them a wrong label in the terms of parents who would watch with their kids and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. They were really successful at it, and I'm pleased at it because some of the jokes that you would find on there, you probably wouldn't even be doing today with the way the world is.
Right.
But back then, it wouldn't even be a blip on the radar.
Right.
And one of the jokes that Mark would always do half the time is poke fun at I Love Lucy. That was one of the major joking staples of Double Dare.
Yeah, because I think
that even didn't it inspire the Honey I'm Home
high
the toss up.
Honey, I'm Home toss-up challenge, yes.
I'm kind of thinking that was also the inspiration for the Nickelodeon series that aired in the early 90s called Hi, Honey, I'm Home. That aired probably
I think so.
91, 92. Again, we'll talk
I'm
about...
thinking that might have been behind it.
Yeah, what do you say? I think we've gone probably about, once I shorten this down, probably about 48 minutes or something like that. So I think we're going to call it here. Next week on the show, it'll be Family Double Dare next week. And let's do a quick rundown here of what's going to happen in the next couple weeks on the show. Family Double Dare next week. The week after, which will be airing on August 10th, will be Super Sloppy Double Dare. Double Dare 2000 on August the 17th, and then 2K18 on the Friday, August 24th. So it's just gonna be Double Dare, Double Dare, Double Dare over the next 4 weeks on this show, and I really hope you're enjoying this as much as we are, because we love Double Dare.
Yes.
We love Double Dare. It's
We love Double Dare and we love Nickelodeon.
And you love me, so.
Because this was a show that really helped give us all a childhood, and to this day is still doing that for kids and families.
Like me, because I didn't watch Double Dare 2000. It aired the year I was born, 2000, so never watched it at all. Although I don't think I watched Nickelodeon Gas when it was on the air. Nickelodeon Games and Sports, the network was called. We'll talk about that as well with the reruns and stuff like that next couple weeks as well. Anything else before we go ahead and get out of here?
No. More will be covered soon, folks, as we go down the line here. More will be covered between Super Sloppy going to Family, and then from Family on up. So just keep an eye out. It's going to be good.
I think we might talk a little bit about their live tour they did, because they did a live tour around 93.
That's right.
I think we should cover the live tour, too, because it deserves recognition.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about that during the... Actually, which one should we do first? Family or Super Sloppy?
I would say we cover the Super Sloppy graduating into Family and then going through the time.
I think we should. I think we should go in chronological order.
All right, Super Sloppy it is next week. We'll also talk about the '87 pilots as well. We talked about them a little bit tonight.
The Bruce Jenner pilots.
The Bruce Jenner pilots, and then Family Double Dare and their big 1993 Tournament of Champions. We'll talk about that as well. Then we'll head to Double Dare 2000, and then the current series of Double Dare. You can watch Double Dare every weeknight with Liza Koshy, who's doing a fantastic job, I should also add.
Yes, she's doing phenomenally.
For a Vine YouTube star, she's really came into her own.
Yes, she has. And of course, it's not Double Dare without Mark Summers there, so yeah, that's not surprising.
Yes, the role Mark is involved in. He still gets dirty and stuff, and still retains that same charm he had.
Yep, he still got it after all these years.
Yep. And don't forget, there's an episode coming up soon here, folks. By the time this gets uploaded, Mark will be hosting a one-off episode of Double Dare.
Right. I think that episode would have aired by the time this show would be uploaded, because I usually upload on Fridays. We'll talk about that as well when we get to 2K18 here in a couple of weeks. We'll definitely talk about the return of Mark hosting Double Dare.
And also a few perils that almost took him from this world as well that will be covered.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as the weeks go on our little 5-part miniseries on Double Dare. I know we're just starting out here on the Bingel Watch, but you know, Double Dare's been a favorite of ours for such a long time. I know I've been a fan of Double Dare for quite a couple years.
As a matter of fact, Cory was born just as Double Dare
began. Even though I mentioned last week that it was
just before it began. Yes,
just before it began. He was born July '86, and it began airing in October of '86. So just a couple months old. So I guess you can say Cory was a Double Dare baby. I guess you could say.
Yep, I was.
Yep, probably one of the few Double Dare babies, at least born in the summer or just before airing
the premiere Double Dare. Thank you very much, Hunter Dillon, Justin Ray, and Cory Lawrence. I will see you guys next week.
All right, don't you double dare go away, folks. Stay tuned.
Yep, I'll mention that. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, that's gonna do it for part 1 of our mini series. We hope you enjoyed. I know we got a little off topic tonight, but we have it all set down. Over the next 4 weeks, you are going to hear nothing but Double Dare, Double Dare, Double Dare. Next week, we talk about Super Sloppy Double Dare and work our way up, including the live tours and all that stuff. So, as the one and only Mark Summers always says, don't you double dare go away, because it's going to be a lot of mess and a lot of fun over the next 4 weeks here on the Bingel Watch. Join us next week when we talk about the Super Sloppy Double Dare. That's going to be fun. And we'll be up into Family Double Dare the week after, and their big 1993 tournament champions as well. Meanwhile, for us, that's going to do it. Again, I want to give a big special thank you to my guests, Hunter Dillon, Cory Lawrence, and not Jason Myers. He'll probably be here 1 week, though. And Justin Ray. My apologies, Justin. They'll be here again next week. We hope you are too. Again, don't you double dare go away, because we'll be back again next week with Family Double Dare right here on the Bingel Watch. For all of us here, I am Matt Bingel, and I'm signing off. See you next week. Bye-bye.